everybody! Today the Bookworms are going to be reading Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh sat on a log in front of his home in the forest, where he lived under the name of Sanders. When he felt his tummy rumble, he got up. "Ugh," he said to himself, "it must be about time for my lunch." With that, Winnie the Pooh went into his house and washed. Then he stood in front of his mirror to inspect himself. Pooh went over to the cupboard and took out his jar of honey. He stuck his nose right into the pot so that when he stopped for breath, his face was splattered with sticky honey. Just then, he heard a buzzing sound. He looked up to see a solitary bee, which promptly flew out the window. "Now, if I can just follow that bee, he's bound to lead me to honey," said Winnie the Pooh. He had just finished his honey supply, and he was a very hungry bear. Pooh ran out of the house, shouting with joy at the prospect of more honey. The bee flew up into a tall tree, and Winnie the Pooh began to climb. Finally, he reached the top where the bee had disappeared. But just as he was about to stick his paw into the hole of the branch he was clutching broke, and Winnie the Pooh went crashing down. "Oops! Ouch!" squeaked Pooh as he tumbled from branch to branch. He landed in a prickly bush, which was a very much painful experience. "If only I didn't like honey so much," he sighed. However, Winnie the Pooh wasn't one to give up easily. He marched off to the edge of the forest to see his friend Christopher Robin. Pooh asked him if he could borrow his balloon. Christopher Robin was puzzled. "What do you want a balloon for?" he asked. Pooh whispered, "Honey!" which didn't make any sense. Then he began to roll on the ground until he was covered with mud. The mud was supposed to make the bees think that Pooh was a small cloud. Then he floated up toward the nest in the tree. He stuck his paw inside and helped himself to a glob of honey. "Yum, yum!" he exclaimed happily. At that moment, a swarm of angry bees flew out of the nest and buzzed threateningly around Pooh. He was swept along the current of air created by the bees, and he pulled the string on his balloon so hard that the knot came untied. As Pooh clung desperately to the top of the drifting balloon, the swarm of bees attacked. There was a loud hissing noise. Air was escaping from the balloon, and Pooh was falling, trailed by a cloud of bees. Luckily for Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin was at the bottom of the tree. "Don't worry," he shouted. "I'll shield us with my umbrella." He jumped into the mud puddle in which Pooh had just landed. No sooner were his bee stings better than Winnie the Pooh had another idea. Rabbit was just about to sit down to tea when Pooh stuck his head into the burrow. "Anybody at home?" he shouted. The startled rabbit jumped in alarm, thinking, "Oh no, not Pooh! He'll eat me out of house and home." Then he said quickly, "Hello, Pooh. What a pleasant surprise. How about lunch?" To which Pooh replied, "Thank you. I am feeling hungry." Rabbit bought out a jar of honey and poured a small helping into Pooh's plate. Pooh looked doubtfully at the tiny blob of honey, so Rabbit told him to help himself to more. Pooh began eating honey from the jar. He soon finished one jar and started on another. He ate and ate until he was practically covered with honey. "Thanks so much, Rabbit. I think I'll be going now," said Pooh, licking his paws. "Well, I'm afraid there isn't any more honey," said Rabbit, shaking Pooh's sticky paw. "Goodbye, and thank you again," Pooh said as he returned to go. But a moment later, Rabbit heard a muffled cry. Pooh Bear was wedged in the doorway. Rabbit started pushing, but it was no good. His pushing and Pooh's struggling only made matters worse. Rabbit decided to go and fetch Christopher Robin. By the time Rabbit found Christopher Robin, he was very upset. "Pooh is stuck in my doorway, but I can't get him to budge," he said. But when they arrived on the seat and tried to tug their friend out, it was no use. There was only one solution. "We're going to put you on a diet, Pooh, and that means no honey," Christopher Robin declared firmly. Back inside his house, Rabbit began to stare at Pooh's rear. "If I have to look at that for a while, I might as well make the best of it," he muttered. So he placed branches on either side of Pooh's rear to make it look like a hunting trophy. Then he put a frame around it. Meanwhile, the news about Pooh's problem had traveled fast. Kanga and Roo arrived with a bunch of flowers. That night, Pooh was still wedged in the hole when a gopher came along. The gopher soon saw that he couldn't help, so he sat down to have a quick snack before he went on his way. Rabbit arrived just in time to prevent Pooh from eating some honey that the gopher had in his lunchbox. Finally, all Pooh's friends joined forces to try and free him. Christopher Robin took hold of his paws, and Kanga, Eivor, and little Roo helped pull. They tugged and tugged, and Rabbit pushed and pushed from inside, and suddenly Pooh moved. In fact, he not only moved, he went flying through the air like a bullet. They had pulled so hard that he popped out of the hole like a cork. Everyone was cheering madly. Pooh was free! But Christopher Robin was a little worried. "Pooh is going very fast. I hope he will have a soft landing," he shouted. They could hardly believe their eyes when they saw where Pooh had landed. Christopher Robin called up to him. "Pooh, are you all right? Can you hear me?" But Pooh couldn't hear a thing. He was in honey heaven. He had landed right in the bee's nest. What's more, the bees had flown away. What a lucky bear! That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below if you like honey. Until next time, bye!